Hang
Okay.
on here. You can see me?
I can see you. It says it's recording.
Oh, you have to stop that. Okay. It does that. Okay, everybody, it's 8 o'clock, Tuesday, June 2nd. So welcome, everyone. And I'm so delighted to join my partner here, Tina Del Bono, and she's from California, Sonoma County. We should all be so envious of living in such a beautiful part of our country. And I'm calling from wonderful, beautiful downtown Piscataway, New Jersey. Where the New Jersey Nets, if you haven't heard, the New Jersey Nets used to play here before they made their stadium in northern New Jersey. So we are delighted. We are so excited to teach you, and that's why we're doing this. We are two members of the Virtual Practice Management Institute. The other one I think is on as well. That's the main guy, Rem Jackson of Top Practices. And I met Rem, I can't count anymore. I think it's 12, 13 years ago at his very first summit. And since then, we've become great friends. He's a mentor to me. And I'm so glad that we started this, all three of us, the Virtual Practice Management Institute. And for those who are members, thank you. And for those who are thinking about being members, hopefully you consider that. But the key point tonight is to teach. And that's what Tina and I love to do so much and help everyone. During this evening, I'm sure I will share some of my stories, how I got involved with teaching and educating, as well as Tina, who's always been an educator in her life. So welcome. And Tina, you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody. Looking forward to sharing with you tonight because one of our favorite topics is, of course, growing our practices and making sure that the people who work for us also are like-minded and wanting to grow our practice with us.
Right. Every organization has a leader, but it only works if the leader develops other leaders. And they're not really beneath you, below you. There's nothing that that a doctor or the owner should not feel comfortable doing. Just, it's not like, oh, that's the job of the medical assistant. It's everyone's job. And Tina teaches that all the time in her classes that she does weekly. I'm going to share the screen and we'll start the show. This is, if you ever been in webinars before, it may be educational or in the sense of medical education or non-medical. A lot of times they go on forever. The beginning, they don't get to the meat. That's not who we are. We get right to the point. We started at 8 o'clock and we didn't come on like 8:02, 8:03. Actually, we came on at 7:40 because we really wanted to make sure that this webinar and the slides and everything was working. So we had a couple of run-throughs. So I'm crossing my fingers now. So there you go. Okay, there is that. Okay, so like I said, with Top Practices, we're the Virtual Practice Management Institute. And the Virtual Practice Management Institute started, Tina, was it about 5, 6 years ago?
Yeah, going on 6 years. It'll be 6 years in July that we started creating it.
Wow, it's great. And it came out of the idea that, you know what, we have so much information that we want to give it to you. And there's a big, immense library that you can go in and get loads of information. It's separated into sections. So if you have a problem staffing, you go to the staffing section. If you have a problem with hiring, go to that section. Whatever your problem is, there's a section. And I equate that to a good book that has great chapters, but you don't have to start from the beginning. You can just go say, I need information on chapter 8. You can go right to chapter 8. And I'm a little OCD. I like to read from the beginning to the end, but I learned over time that, you know what is my problem today? Where can I get information about that issue I'm having in my practice right now? Which book will help me? Which chapter in that book will help me right now? And then maybe I'll go on and read the rest of the book. Okay. So we are talking about how your front line can increase your bottom line. And Tina came up with this, and Tina's has been a Tina. Go introduce what you do and tell everybody exactly how you got into podiatry and all the great things you do.
Well, that's a long story. Let me give you the condensed version. I was a medical transcriptionist. I was working out of my home, raising my 3 kids, and I got a job with Dr. Hollander doing his transcription, and I knew that he had a very small practice and needed a back office assistant part-time. And so I took that job, and lo and behold, my whole family's entrepreneurs, and I have a business mind. And I noticed that things were not being done correctly in the office, found out the office manager was embezzling, all the contracts had lapsed, everything. So he fired her and told me, here, now you do it. And I said, well, what is it that we do? And he said, it has something to do with numbers and codes. That's what you do. So I started out by knocking on doors of other podiatrists in our neighborhood and asking their office managers if they would teach me. And I got 2 that did. They took me under their wings, plus an orthopedist office manager. And there's a lot of other, if you want to know more, you can listen to Rem's last podcast. I tell the long version. But anyways, I always said that as I was growing this practice and learning, that I want to give back. And I never wanted to have doctors go through what my doctor went through, not knowing what was going on in their business. And so that's where it started. And I've been speaking with the California Podiatric Medical Association now since 2002, was with the American Society of Podiatric Medical Assistants on their board for 13 years, served president 2 terms. And I love what I do, and I love being able to help people. And it's a great service that we provide for the people who come into our practice, but it's not so great if the practice doesn't run well and the people aren't happy who work there. And so that's my goal. And right along with you, Dr. Wishney, is, giving people their nights and weekends back and being able to run a healthy, happy organization where people want to come to every day and bring their family and friends.
Excellent. And you said it's on Rem's, also longer versions on Rem's podcast, Prosperity and Something Greater. So, and if you haven't listened to it, please go and download some. But basically download Tina's and mine, because I need more views, more listeners. So, because Rem keeps on asking me, like, you only at 120 downloads and someone else is at this number. I'm kidding. So go and just enjoy all the episodes. So how your front line can increase your bottom line. I want to start off by telling you that your staff is hired to help the organization, to help you. They're not there to be robots. You need them to have some freedom, but you need to train them, and you have to hire the right people to collect your bottom line. Every person that I hire, I think about marketing. That person needs to be someone upbeat, and because people buy from enthusiastic people. If you're depressed and sad, they're not buying from you. So if you're having issues at home, you need to have a way to keep those issues at home. And trust me, this is not, when you're going through lots of stuff in life, it's hard to keep the two separated, your business and your personal. Mm-hmm. But you have to, because you're a professional. And you need to hire professionals who can learn to do this, because you're asking money from someone. You need to be educated. You need to be smart. It's not easy to ask for money. And doctors on this thing could tell you it's not easy to tell someone how much something costs. So they avoid the issue totally and give it to someone else. So you need to have the right people. We're going to talk about that. Okay. So collections is a huge problem, even before the crisis. And if you had this problem before the crisis, guess what? It's a bigger problem now. This is why Tina and I have always talked about processes and systems. And I've learned that, okay, this is the pandemic and everything's going on in life right now. It is like, if you weren't prepared before, if you didn't have everything running smoothly, it is harder now. And I've learned that if you had the right systems in place, the things that I do, making sure patients get in the room on time, making sure then there aren't any bottlenecks when they check out. You know, you have like 3 or 4 people hanging out of the front desk, making sure, checking the next appointment, collecting all the money. It's all the things you do at the checkout side. We expedited the system so you wouldn't have that. And we did that prior to the pandemic, not thinking about a pandemic, thinking about that people waited when they maybe on hold when they called you. They waited in the waiting room, which is why I used to call it a welcome room. I say used to because I don't have any of that right now. Don't have welcome or waiting. And then they wait in the treatment room to see the doctor, and then they wait to check out. It's too much waiting. I didn't want that to happen because it's all about customer service, and you have to stop these long lines. So if you had that problem before, you still have that issue, and you need to handle that. You need to fix this as soon as possible because for about 2 months, your income was negligible. Nothing was coming in. And now, as patients are coming in, you need to collect everything up front. Okay, so that's why this is a problem. Before we continue, I want to make sure that everyone on this call and everyone in your families are healthy, and I pray for them. And I pray for everyone out there with all these demonstrations, protesting,
Yeah.
and whatever you want to call it. I just want to let you know it's a really tough time, and I feel sometimes I'm reading my history book all over. I never lived into the 50s, and I was born in the 60s. I was too young during the civil rights movement, but I'm sort of like reliving this history book that I used to read. So I'm praying for our country and for everybody around us. Okay, now steps to collecting. First thing, why do people have problems with giving you money? Because maybe in the old days, when I first started practice, you came in, you had your treatment, and then you go to the front desk. They'll tell you it's $120. You pay them $120. Here's your insurance form. Now submit that to the insurance company.
Yeah.
I had about 2 or 3 good years of that. That was really good. That was nice. Those days are long gone. People go to a store, know exactly how much the milk costs. And before they go to the register, they actually know if they have the money to pay for that milk. No difference when it comes to medical treatment. It's not like they're against paying. They want to know. They want to have some control. People want to have control over their money and make a decision. How many times have you heard, oh, like you call them like after the fact, insurance denied the claim or the orthotics. You call them up asking for the money. Well, if I knew the orthotics were not going to be covered, I would not have gotten the orthotics. That is me. That's true at the moment, but really, if you presented it properly at the time of service, if it was not covered, you had a better chance of getting cash right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
So verify the benefits prior to the appointment. And we do that by having, you still have 3 college students part-time making around $11, $12 an hour. And that's what they do. They verify the benefits prior to the patient's arrival. And then when they arrive, that information is relayed to the patient. And there's a form that we have the patient sign saying, yes, they understand that those are their benefits. Okay. That's the main purpose of that form. They understand. Okay. So then the fee schedule. You can get the fee schedule for all your CPT codes, or the top 10 is what you really need for all the insurance companies. At the beginning of the year, we do this. We fax them a form. We get the information. I know like certain plans, they have like, it could have 5, 6, 8 different kinds of plans from one company. Be respectful. Ask for the top 10 in your company, and just get the information, and then have a list And Medicare gives you this. You could download this. And so the front desk knows the fee schedule. So when someone has an 80/20 plan where the insurance company will pay 80%, the deductible has been met, the patient owes 20, no more like, oh, go submit the claim. Let's see how much they pay, then send me a bill. What happens when you send a bill? Well, what happens is it's hard to collect. That's really what happens. You have to send the bill, then call them up. You have to remember to call them up. You have to have a system to do so. And then they say, well, you know what? I'll send it in 2 weeks, next week, what have you. Next week, 2 weeks come, you don't have the check. You're chasing your money. And every time a staff member has to now get on the phone, it's hard to collect and or send a claim. What happens is you're losing more money. You're losing, if you have a bill $100 for $100, a claim that's $100, you're getting reimbursed at 50%. Let's say you're getting $50, and then you have to keep on calling. That 50 becomes 30, becomes 25, and you're losing money because you also have to pay for the staff member, remember, to do this work. Prior to the treatment, inform the patient of the cost approximately. Okay, you can't be like written stone, like it's perfect. You have to understand this is around what this will cost. And then you can collect all the monies due. And on an interview, for my front desk, I don't know if you do this, Tina, but on an interview, I role play. I ask 2 questions to every front desk person. And the first one is, give me 20, what is 20% of 100? The reason I say 20% of 100, because Medicare is pays 80 and the patient pays 20 if they do not have a secondary. Now, they are calculators, but you also need to use your brain. So when I have people, and this has happened, and they said, what's 20% of 100? And I get $49 as an answer, truthfully, $49. I mean, I could see 80, you're nervous, whatever. I see why you would think 80, but some crazy number. But then you say like, okay, I'm going to use the calculator, and it comes up with another crazy number. The front desk person does not know if that's number seems to be right or wrong because it's way off the chart, and you at least know that that number cannot be right. I must have plugged in some different numbers that I should have, and thus the information is wrong. Garbage in is garbage out. So I need to make sure they can do 20% of 100. The second thing is I role play. Patient comes in, has an infected ingrown toenail. Patient does not have insurance. Prior to the procedure, the doctor asks the patient, tells the patient, it will cost $250 for your ingrown toenail procedure. They get agreement, doctor, staff, someone tells them. Patient says, absolutely, no problem, we can do this. Great. You do the procedure, they walk up to the front. Now, Mary is the prospective employee. Mary will then ask, Mary to ask the patient, which I pay the patient. I say, I'm Peter, now ask me for the money. And so she says, okay, it costs $350. Sometimes I get, it costs $350. Would you like to pay for that today? Or, you don't have to pay all that at once. Meanwhile, the patient agreed to pay for that service today. And I'm like, okay, so even if they say it right, okay, it's $250 today, how would you like to pay? Then patients might say, well, do I have to pay all that today? People do that because they have other expenses. They're not trying to play games. They're just thinking about ways to save money for now, today, because a lot of us live day to day. And if you think that means, no, you don't pay all that today, just pay what you can. No, it means, does he have to pay that today? And the answer is, yes, sir, you have to pay for that today. How would you like to pay? In a nice, pleasant way. But the answer is, it's a yes or no question. So say yes, and you'll then have the patient pay. So those are 2 things I ask always when I'm interviewing for the front desk. Okay, so inform the patient the cost of these services prior to, and you're less likely to have a problem at the front desk and later, and collect the money. Okay, so I'm going to hand this over to lovely Tina.
All right, thank you. All right, having the right people at your front desk, like Dr. Wishney said, interviewing, and you want the person that has the great personality, that's Uh, they know how to communicate with people. They're friendly, and they need to be excited about what they are doing. I'm sure that you all have called other doctor's offices, and you get somebody, on the phone. They say, "Oh, doctor's office." It it doesn't sound like they're excited about what they do. I love going into other doctors' offices and watching the people at the front counter. Here's the front line, and sometimes they don't even look at you. Sometimes they're talking to their coworker about things that are not work related, which I understand conversations happen, but they could care less that a patient is standing in front of them. So, what you need to do, and what we are trying to teach you so that you have this front line that will want to collect the bottom line and increase it. They're going to want to do what needs to be done in order to bring the revenue into the practice. And there are several different ways, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. They need to be excited about what they do. Now, that doesn't mean that everything in their life is happy, because we all know that that's just not so. But they need to like and want to do a great job. So what you need to do is you need to start listening to the people who are answering your phone. I love it. In our new practice, our new office, I moved myself to the front office. We have a huge counter, and there's enough room for all of us there, because I get to hear what's going on. I get to hear when, they say, "Well, we're really booked today." And then they kind of like, "Oh, you're there." And they reword it. And it's not that I am a micromanager or anything, but it allows me to hear what's going on in the office for training purposes, so that I can say, "Well, you know what might have been a better way to do that?" Or I'll ask them, "So what happened on that call?" And they'll tell me, and I'll say, "Oh, I understand now why you said that." Or I might say, "Well, another thing you could have done is this." And they understand it's all teaching. But if you're not listening to what's going on in your front office, and for your front counter, frontline people who meet and greet the people who come into the practice and who are answering your phone all day long, if you don't know what they're saying, how do you know that they're doing a good job? How do you know that they really like being there? Do you ask them? You need to, because these people, every person in the practice is vitally important, but these are your first point of contact with the public. And they have to invite those people to want to come into the practice. So Dr. Wishney and I work with practices all over the country, and we have heard so many office managers or physicians tell us, "Well, I don't know what's wrong with them. Why can't my front office do what I need them to do?" Well, we're going to talk about some ways that you can get them to do that, but they have to. You cannot afford to have the wrong people in your practice working that front line, or anywhere, but that front line, like I said, is so crucial. And it be the wrong person who they really don't care. I don't care if they don't get an appointment. I still get my paycheck. They can't have that attitude. Okay, Peter?
Sure. I'm going to add something to this. So I want to tell you a little story. So my girlfriend works for Ross Dress for Less. So people outside the New York, New Jersey area will definitely know that store. And she's at home, and I'm sometimes, during the pandemic, I was home with her a lot, and listening to her on the phone, and to buy some time, since they are actually paying these employees, they have them listen to TED Talks. And one of them was a TED Talk by Simon Sinek.
Hmm.
It's I think it's called Starts with Why.
Right.
Right. And so he's talking about having a purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing is a purpose. And then after the TED Talk, all the big wigs and managers and the buyers get on the phone, and they discuss what they heard. So my girlfriend Jamie's been there for about over 25 years, and she has no problem telling her immediate supervisors that this is fantastic. The great talk, I love it. But sometimes I ask you, why are we doing it this way? And the answer is because the CEOs and the up people way up above them just tell them that's how we want it. They don't have a why. They just tell you.
Mm.
And when you're doing something without a purpose, when you're telling your staff member to do something without a purpose, they not mesh with your vision, with the organization. Where are you going? What's your purpose of the company? And I discuss all the time with our staff, our purpose is not to treat only the foot and ankle. Our purpose is to give our patients a better quality of life. When patients don't come in, like you're talking about keeping your appointment book full, don't come in, it's a lost opportunity to make someone's life better. When someone does not pay, guess what happens when someone doesn't pay? They're not happy. All of a sudden, they're not happy with their foot and ankle care.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they get upset and mad. And now they're upset and mad, and because money is the number one reason why things go wrong, why relationships don't work out, while people leave a practice, why people don't actually buy from you, and they need to know that you really care about the patient. The staff member really needs to know that you, the owner, care about the staff, and it's a trickle-down effect. And you need to actually be open, explain, and let people talk and hear why they have a problem, and really understand your staff, because you might have some great staff. You just don't know why they're not following your rules. And it's not because, I really truly don't believe it's because they are rebellious. It's because they don't know why, or they don't know how, or they're afraid to. One of those areas. So
Okay.
go ahead.
So,
Sorry.
no, that's all right. So you need to know what your service, the service that's coming from the people who work in your practice, is like. Okay? Just think of yourself as going to a restaurant. You go to your most favorite restaurant and you love it. Why? Maybe the food is really good, but it's got to have great service or you will not go back. And it's the same way with our patients. They have a choice where they go. And if the service they get from the staff members is not good, no matter how good of a doctor you are, they will not be satisfied and they will seek somewhere, to go somewhere else. So it's so important that you listen and you watch them, because keep in your mind, why do I go to the places that I go? Why do I go to a certain grocery store? Or why do I go to a certain boutique? It's because of how they treat you. That's how Starbucks just blew up, because they started calling people by names. They actually knew what they wanted when they came in. People became regulars there. How about when people walk into your practice? For those who have been on the front line for a while, do they know their names? Do they try and remember them? They know who's coming in on the schedule. And depending what your software is like, usually you have a picture of that patient. Do they say, oh, hi, Anne, great to see you today. How are things going? And that makes the patients want to come in. That's building trust and relationships. And if that's not going on in your practice, then your bottom line isn't going to increase. It just is not going to happen. Go ahead, Dr. Wishny. So you need to remember why patients are calling you. Why are they calling you? Well, maybe it's they have fungal toenails. Maybe they got a sprained ankle. Maybe they've got neuropathy. Maybe their feet just don't feel good, or they've been going to the gym and their heels are hurting. They could be calling you for multiple reasons. But do your staff know how to answer those questions on the phone to bring them in? Do they know what you do and what it is? Not just like, oh, we treat heel pain. How? What is it called? It's plantar fasciitis, or maybe there's some other, reasons for heel pain. What is it that you do for it? Do your staff look at your website and read the stuff that's on your website? You know what? I have talked to people and they'll say, well, yeah, we treat bunions. Well, what type of procedures does your doctor do? I don't know. Or, yeah, we do some wound care. Well, what does that mean? They don't know. And you're thinking, well, they're front office people. No, they are your staff members. They need to know the same as what your MAs know. They need to understand what it is that you do and why are the people calling. Because I can guarantee you that people who call your practice want to know, well, does your doctor treat this? Or what do they do for that? Oh, I don't know. You'll have to schedule an appointment. They don't know the various types of options that your doctor offers, that they would need to come in and discuss with the doctor so that they could then, determine what was actually needed? Or do they just say, I don't know? You need to know how they're answering the questions. Go ahead.
Okay, that's me, right? There you go.
Yep, that's you.
Okay. So you have to add value in the treatment room. So Tina talked about the first impression, the phone call, meeting your front desk person. Now you have to add value in the treatment room. When someone, in order to collect at the front desk, you need to do a great job in the treatment room, because if you make it hard for your staff to collect money, it's really up to the doc to add the value. So everybody's being nice and it's a great environment. The patient's feeling really good about being in that office, that practice, and you could now blow it. So adding value is really one thing. It's really caring about the patient in front of you. When you listen intently, I'm big at the computer. I could type and talk at someone, but on a new patient, I'm not at the computer. I'm face to face, looking at you right in the eye. And you said shake hands. Now I just do a little bit of this. Hi, how are you? Sorry, I can't shake your hand. It's very funny. My patients who know that I hug them or shake, they still want to give me a hug. And I'm saying, I'm sorry. I would love to give you a hug. But you have to have that welcome feeling and break down all the fears that the patient might have with the treatment. You listen to the issues, you explain to them, ask them, what is this pain preventing you from doing? A really, really important question. What do you want to gain from today's treatment? What's your goal? Because they have a bunion. Maybe the goal is not to have a straight toe. It could be to wear a shoe or to go out running or whatever it may be. Find out what that is, and that's your job to help them take care of that. It's also your job to tell them what could go wrong if it's not treated. That's another key. What could go wrong if it's not treated? I am afraid that if we don't treat this, this could happen down the road. And here are the options, okay? So add value, care about them, solve their issues right then and there. So that is getting to know what is keeping the patient up at night. So is it pain? Is it fear? Fear of if it's treated, the treatment might be painful or the treatment might not work. I spoke to someone with a foot problem. They have problems for years. You need to address that. Even though you might not see those kind of complications, it's something that you need to address because it's fear to the patient. There are 3 reasons why people don't buy anything. It's time, fear, and money. So I talk about this a lot, and it's really, really true in my mind. You have to handle all 3, time, fear, and money. Right now, people want to get in, figure out, make sure that if you open your doors, that you have the proper number of hours. You might spread the patient volume apart, but you still need to have the hours for the patients to come in. Mothers are now staying home to homeschool their children, and so they need a later appointment sometimes. So handle the time objection, the fear, the fear is that it won't work. It might work, might not work. It might make it worse. There's fear that it might hurt. I mean, not work, but fear that it might hurt. And you get that. You get patients who are afraid, and you have to understand that. Patients come to me and they're afraid of an injection. I tell them that, I explain to them how I think I give a good injection. So I explain it to them, tell them what I'm going to do, that they're going to feel a lot better, and to focus on the result, not what's happening. And by spending the time and not rushing through something, not getting the patient in and out of the room real fast, then I get them to accept the treatment plan. Everyone's fears right now about when normalcy returns. And we had the discussion with the staff on my Monday meeting. This is just the new way. How we're doing things. No waiting room, masks, bringing the patients in, making sure there's not a line to check out, and just making the patients feel comfortable, making yourself feel good that you're doing the right thing, and helping with your staff, and handling any kinds of fears that your staff might have. I have 3 staff that still at home. We are quarantined until June 5th in the state of New Jersey. That's what it is right now. And on June 8th, 2 of the 3 are coming back. The third person is really upset. I like her a lot, and she had her father pass away. Her aunt is ill, and she now came down COPD. So it's really, really difficult, but I called her, stay in touch with her. These are people.
Yeah.
And you have to take care of your people. You have to show you really care. And that's the empathy part.
Yeah.
And then marketing to the world, how are you going to keep things safe? It is amazing. I had 3 people take comment on a YouTube video that I don't even think anybody watches, but obviously they do. A YouTube video. Oh, Dr. They go, Dr. Rich, I saw you on TV. TV? That meant YouTube. And how it's talking about the safety in our practice. It makes them feel comfortable when the owner of the practice gets on TV and explains how you're going to keep them safe, that you really, really care. Go ahead, Tina.
All right. So we talked about your frontline answering your phones. And one of the things that I hear most often, one of them, is why don't my staff sell products or the services? Why don't they do this? And so I always ask, do they know how? Well, they know I've got all the stuff. They know that I have Spanko there. I have Claris cream or urea or whatever the products are. And some offices have a lot of products, okay? But the people aren't trained to know what those products are, what they do, how they're used, and can they tell people about it? There's this thing, and it's called the confidence competent loop. It's a figure 8. And the more people are confident in what they know, the more competent they become in what they do. Okay? So most of the time, when people in the practice are not promoting services or products, it's because it's out of fear. They don't want to say something that the doctor wouldn't want them to say. Or what if I say it wrong? Or can I even tell them about what it's for? Does HIPAA, are they involved in this? No. So what you need to do is set up a great training program over all the products that you have and the services that you provide in your office. And it's not just, fungus toenail laser or MLS laser. What does it do? What is it used for? How is the treatment done? What are the statistics on the treatment? And you're going, well, why do they need to know that? If you want them to be confident enough to talk about it with your patients and be able to present it. In our practice, the doctor will come out and he will say, okay, I want them to have this, or I'd like them to have orthotics, or I would talk to them about MLS laser. The assistant, one of us, and we're a small practice, so we are all cross-trained. Any one of us can get up and go in that room and talk to them about MLS laser. We can talk to them about what it feels like. We can give them information, and this is what's awesome. You should have plenty of brochures in your practice on all of your treatments and products that you offer. Staff should be versed in what those brochures say so that they can then tell the patients what's in that brochure. The doctor approved it, so now I can say that. They can even open it up and read to the patient. They start feeling confident because, wow, I can tell them about this. I'm not fearful because I know what I'm supposed to say. And the more that they know, the more confident they're going to become, the more competent they're going to become, in what you need them to do, and they're going to enjoy it. Now, another great way to help them get over the fear is to take your products and your services, that are usually cash items, and do, a minute infomercial or whatever it takes. How would you, the doctor, tell the patient about this? What is it used for? How often do they use it? Can they put their socks on after they have urea cream? All of the things. You're telling that patient what you would want them to know, doctor. Everyone's got a phone. Let's video record it. Put it in Dropbox under training videos. This way they can watch them over and over. And this has helped our practice tremendously because they can watch what the doctor says and they can learn to mimic the doctor. And they feel good because they know they're saying what the doctor would want them to, and it's correct. So they're going to be more confident. Okay, so we talked about products and services. And when you start doing this, believe me, they're not going to go, oh, they needed urea cream. And the patient asks, well, what's it for? I don't know. You can read it on the box. Or I don't know. And they look around for someone else. They're going to be able to tell them. And they're going to be able to tell them about all of the products and services that your office provides. And you know what your patients are going to think? Wow, you guys are really smart. Everyone knows this. And when they call everyone, you've got that standardization because everybody's trained on it. They're going to all give the same answers. And you know what, doctor? You are going to be so relieved because you don't have to worry about what they're going to say. You've told them what to say. You've scripted it out. It's in your brochures. It's on your videos that they train with. And then you can even test them or let them sell to each other, so that you can hear that they have it and they're going to feel so great. Now, benefits, okay? What are the benefits of coming to your office over somebody else? Have you thought about it? Because in our town, we have about maybe 10 podiatrists within maybe 15 miles, okay? So what's the benefit of coming to my practice over the practice that's, it's not even a mile away? What are your benefits? Why would they come to you? Well, we know about our doctor. We know where he went to school. We know what he likes to do, how long he's been doing surgery, how long he's lived in the town, the different organizations that he belongs to. And the biggest benefit is everybody in our practice loves what they do. And we're happy and we love to have a good time. And I cannot tell you, our staff will tell people, you're really going to enjoy it when you come here, because a lot of times we'll ask, how did you happen to call the office? And sometimes they'll say, wow, we saw all your Yelp reviews. Great. You know what? You are going to love coming to our office. And when they come, they see what it's like. They see that we work together, that we are smiling, even in a little bit of stressful situations. We're happy. We're happy they're there. We thank them. They love the doctor because he loves what he does. And they see the benefit of coming to our practice. But your staff have to know what the benefits are. Why would they come to us? Are we closer? Well, maybe that is. And like we always say, we're right down the street from the hospital. We're a block away. People are like, oh, that's great. Because Whoops. Oh,
Sorry.
that's all right. No, and actually you can go to the next one, Dr. Wishney,
Okay, there you go.
because what you're doing is you're creating ambassadors for your practice. You want to know when your staff are out in public that they're ambassadors for you. Are they going, oh my gosh, and I worked with this guy, and or are they saying, you know what, you're going to love coming to our office? They see somebody limping in the grocery store, they hand them a card, because they're happy and they're knowledgeable, which gives them value to your practice, value to you, value to the community. And those are the people. When you have those people that you have grown up in your practice, you can't help but your bottom line to go up, because they are in it with you. They are engaged and they love what they do. Okay.
Great, thank you. Good, dude. So steps to regrow your practice and everything. Tina hit a great point, and that is training and training videos. And what a great idea that if you have some downtime right now, just pull out a product, the Slight Edge. 1 or 2 products, 1 minute videos, 2 minute videos total. Just talk about the product and have everyone do that. And they'll get comfortable on video. They get comfortable actually explaining the product to the patient. Okay, and like Tina said, the benefits. And our patient loves this product, and let me tell you why. Okay, so during this time, you need to have, you might be stressed out and you can't fix your problems. You can't find solutions. If you're stressed out and if you're afraid, you need clarity of how your practice is going to look, how it's going to look now, what are you going to do? So get clarity on your goals and your purpose. That will reduce your stress and decrease your fears. Stay active. If you a lot of us are back to work, but if you're not back at work full time, it doesn't matter. The busier you must have some exercise program going on. You must stay active, develop energy, because energy produces momentum. And when you have momentum, when you're working on something, if you're working on, like when I worked on my book, and some chapters were a little slower than others, but as I sat down and I was thinking about it and I started writing, I developed the momentum. As I got the momentum, I just could keep on writing. And that gives you a feeling of accomplishment. And when you do that, you feel good. And then you're smiling and happy. But when you're sitting around, don't have the energy, you're not actually creating. And when you're not creating, you are actually in a state of fear, which leads, like I said, anxiety and depression. So the answer to how to handle everything, if you're not feeling good, force yourself to go for a nice walk or to exercise, or something to develop your energy, increase your energy levels. Okay. You alleviate the fears with positive emotion by staying in motion. Okay. Want to take that one?
Yep. So training is the key, and taking the time to train. And like I said, right now we are all in a lot of transition, but to record 2 1-minute videos, to sit down for 15 minutes and talk to your staff. Morning huddles, I'm all for morning huddles. We do it every morning in our practice. It gives us a few minutes to talk about changes, but also to talk about how we want things to run in the practice. And it's a perfect time to check in with your people and, give them some extra time to learn and to be trained, because when your staff is trained, patients are just very satisfied. They really love the quality and the standards of a well-run medical practice. All of us do. That's what we want when we go to the doctor. And those satisfied patients make our doctors, all of you, very, very happy. And overall, it will increase your bottom line, because you are all working together to grow your practice in your community, to serve the people there, and becoming the best podiatry practice in whatever county you're in. And it really just starts with the people who work there and them buying in, but that means that you have to take the effort to show them how much they're valued by investing in them.
Cool. Okay. So I want to talk to you about how you get things done. And I'm going to tell you a story about, you might have heard my story, but I'll make it quick. It's Tuesday night. I'm sure you have other things you want to do. But I started my practice over 30 years ago, never worked for anyone, and bought a practice for $100,000, took out $100,000 in a credit line, plus I owed $100,000 in student loans. That's $300,000 before I saw my first patient. And to make a long story short, my first two patients basically left the office. I wasn't the doctor that they were seeing, and they just said, basically, you're not my doctor, I'm leaving. And then I noticed that the practice was not as good as I thought it was going to be when I bought the practice. So every single month for 3 months in a row, I was losing approximately $7,500 a month. And plus of all these loans, I didn't have anything in the bank. And then one day I got this fax, and this fax said, come learn how to run your medical practice. And I went to this 2-day workshop. And at the end of this workshop, I laid down 2 credit cards and paid $18,000 to take some classes and hire a coach, a consultant for 1 year. And because obviously I did not know what I was doing and I needed some help, even though I was really, really scared that I'd just spend another $18,000. But lo and behold, after a year, I made more money in that 1 year of my first year of practice than the guy that I bought the practice from in any one of his given 17 years in practice. My point is that no one can do this alone. No one can succeed without the help of others. And during my training, my podiatric training, I worked with, I went to a doctor's private practice once a week, learned something there. So I got some training that way. But Michael Jordan had a coach when he played, not the basketball coach, not Phil Jackson, his own personal trainer and basketball coach. Tiger Woods has 4 coaches, one for his drive, one for his putting, and one for the short game, and plus one as a physical trainer. I'm right now doing I'm in pretty good shape, but I want to get to the next level. And why? Because it's who I am. I am Anthony Robbins' theory of CANI, which stands for constant and never-ending improvement. I want to get to that next level. And so I have this 30-day challenge that makes you accountable with what you eat and counting your calories and going on MyFitnessPal. And I count everything. As you know, I'm a numbers guy, but I just don't want to count the number of calories and grams of protein and carbs. But I've noticed that you think you're eating healthy or eating the right amount of food, and when you record something, it's like, oh my God, I'd ate too many carbs today. I don't know where the carbs came from. So I believe in that you need help, and everybody successful has. And you can't think of everything yourself. You're one person. And so imagine a group of people working together, solving each other's problems. And Napoleon Hill, if you read the book Think and Grow Rich, which I've read about 5 or 6 times, chapter 2, he talks about, he invented the term mastermind. And he says a mastermind is a group of 2 or more people who work in perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose. He also says it is the principle to which you may borrow and use the education, experience, and influence, and perhaps the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. He goes on to say, it is the principle where you can accomplish. I love this one. It's exactly what happened in my first year in practice. It's the principle where you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish in a lifetime if you depended entirely on your own efforts for success. The very first mastermind, think about what might have never been invented or not what came about, was the mastermind of Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and Harvey Firestone. Great minds. All of them had problems solving their inventions. Think about how these guys sat down and helped each other, working together, solving their problems, and go, whoa, what a great idea, because you're so focused on one way or maybe 2 ways to do something, and someone throws something outside the box that you weren't thinking about and helping you achieve your goals. Now think about podiatry. I'm sure when you open up your practice, the guy down the street knocked on your door with a container of milk and sugar and says, "Hey, I'm here to help you. How would you like me to help you make your practice better and grow and be better than mine?" It doesn't happen in not just podiatry, it doesn't happen in business. The gas station across the street looks at your prices and says, "Oh, you just lowered yours? I'm going to lower mine." And it's a war between each other, between McDonald's and Burger King. But when you have people throughout the country where they're not competing with one another, helping each other, it's fantastic. Like we have right here, people on this webinar from all over the United States and Canada. Okay, so that brings us to the top practices. Podiatry, not really practice. It's the title of my book, Business Solution Mastermind Seminar. And that's going to take place July 31st and August 1st in Las Vegas, which is opening up in a couple of days. And it's going to be totally safe, and we'll be limiting it to 20 people. And it's hosted by Rem Jackson, as you know, and Tina and myself. So specifically, what we're going to do is attack your issues and design your 90-day success plan that will make 2020 your best year ever. Every single day right now, I'm looking at my numbers. And I see, okay, it's not maybe where it was June 2nd of 2019, but it was better than May 2nd of 2020. And it's better than it was yesterday. And that's what I'm looking for, an upward trend. And what things can we do on a daily basis to keep it safe and productive and see the right kinds of patients. It will help you, enable you to get more done in the next 90 days than most people accomplish in 1 year, just like Napoleon Hill said. It will help you, we will help you overcome any negative thoughts, a mindset that's holding you back. Yes, I am a John Maxwell leadership coach for one reason. I have learned after all these years, we give you all the tools. You have everything you need. You have the recipe for success. It still doesn't happen in a lot of people because there's something holding you back. And we're here to help you with that, to get your mindset straight and just be accountable. That's what this is. That's why I'm on this 30-day challenge. You know, like you wake up, I do exercise tomorrow. I'll exercise late in the day, and it doesn't really happen. Watch and contribute as your colleagues and fellow attendees attack their biggest challenges. And during that time, allow you to know your practice is working for you instead of you working for it. It's there to give you the life you so desire and deserve. You busted your butt in school, you busted your butt in residency, and you're busting your butt now in your practice. And that's okay to work hard, because you have to work hard, but you don't have to work long. You just have to work hard in a short period of time to get the results that you want. Okay, so the key here is this: the meeting will bulletproof your practice and prepare you for any disasters and challenges presently or what may lie ahead, because I can guarantee you that we will have challenges. If you own a business, you know what? If you work for somebody, you have a challenge. Life is about challenges and how you handle these challenges. And how you do that is with other people's resources, by loving and caring for other people, giving them the resources to succeed, and develop your A team that loves to come to work for you every single day. And it's great when they appreciate you. It makes you feel really good. You learn to work and have fun with your spouse that you work with. Bring your spouse, significant other that actually is working with you in your practice. Okay, that also has a decision that helps you grow your practice. Learn to achieve solvency and your cash flow problems. You will getting your staff to collect every dime of the time of the appointment, and learn to get and analyze your numbers even when you're not around. Every Friday at 1 o'clock, I get my numbers. The staff will analyze it. We will look at it, and we'll see what we need to do and make a game plan for each week. As the owner, you're one thing besides being a podiatrist. As an owner, you're a coach. You're a coach that sets the game plan, gives a game plan to the team, and you teach them how to make that game plan work. And that's all you have to do. You have the right staff, you give them the game plan, let them go and run with it. Number 6, we will help you set up your systems and processes so you can start earning more money as soon as you get back home. Learn how you can know what your staff is doing while you're seeing patients. Yeah, and that's really knowing your numbers too, folks. So you can know what's going on just by knowing your numbers. Become a better communicator between you and your staff, especially with your office manager. Leaders are great communicators. They know exactly what they want. They know how to communicate it to the other people and get them and influence others to achieve those results. You will leave with a complete blueprint with your specific problems outlined and how to fix them. And we will guarantee you to 10 times your investment during that day and a half. So you can come in Friday morning and you stay there Friday, and then you can leave late on Saturday as well. Okay, the cost of this, now you might ask, for the doctor owner is $2,995, and the partner in life, who also helps the doctor run the practice, is only $500. But if you act before June 30th, you'll save $500 on the owner's registration. And all registrants will receive a 30-minute consultation with Rem Jackson, myself, or Tina, a copy of Rem's book, Podiatry Prosperity, How to Market, Manage, and Love Your Practice. Great, great book. And a copy of my book, The Podiatry Practice Business Solution, everything you need to flourish in your podiatry practice. A 6 months access to Tina Del Bruno's How to Take Charge of the Medical Practice and Run It Simply, Smartly, and Successfully, as well as a 6-month access to my program, The 7 Secrets to Getting Your Nights and Weekends Back. And those are the two books. That's Tina's course and my course. At the end of this webinar, we will have this link, and you can click on it and sign up. Any questions you could also ask us. And that's the end of that. And so there you go. So now what I'd like to do is open up if you have any questions, please, about anything. Tina and I are here to really help you. And we love you. I want you to succeed. And I told you the reason why I'm doing this is because I needed help. I started off with, there wasn't a book written by a podiatrist for podiatrists on how to run your practice. I read books by dentists and chiropractors and even a urologist, and I bought programs from these people. And I said, you know what, there's got to be somebody to help us. And Rem came out with his book. I have my book. Now there's podcasts out there. There's great information. And we want to make sure you succeed. And simple, because Tina, I love you. Anything to say, Tina?
Nope, but it looks like, do we have a question?
Thank you. You have a Q&A there section. There you go. Can you bring staff? So the answer is that we want the doctors to feel really, really comfortable of opening up information that maybe some of this information you don't want your staff to know right immediately. And the goal is down the road to have a meeting just for staff. The doctors could send the staff, and which Tina will lead and help. But right now it's for the owners of the practice. It's a good question. Let me just keep the Q&A bar open here. We got a couple here. Andrew, and training staff, what are the elements of training to make sure we don't miss anything? You want to answer that, Tina? I'm going to move that over there.
It depends on what you are training them. You know, the see one, do one, see one, teach one, do one, and method is really good. But you know what? It depends what you're training them for, because they need to be able to watch. They need to be able to try it. They need to have confidence. And that's where I was saying with the training on just about everything in your practice is really spending time and having people who they can shadow, people who they can feel free to ask questions. Like I had one young lady, and she was really afraid to answer the phone. What if I say something wrong? And so it took a lot of role playing. It took a lot of just letting her start, you know, by answering the phone and then saying, I will get someone who can answer that question for you, putting them in a hole. So, you know, it really is also going to depend on the person. But you have to have all of the training tools for them. In the Virtual Practice Management Institute, we have, like I said, we have it where they can watch it, they can listen to things, they can read things, they can fill out things for learning, thorough learning. But they also need to have that person to go to so that they could say, you know, I made a mistake, or I really don't understand the why I need to do that, which is really important. That's a whole nother webinar. and how to train. Yeah.
So before I get to Amber's question, Andrew, at the end of this webinar, probably tomorrow, you're going to get your bonuses. Thank you for guys staying and getting your bonuses. One of the bonuses is my training quiz. It's about 150 questions, and use some of those questions for different different positions. But once the person is trained, as you think that person is trained, you have this quiz that your practice manager, your office manager will ask, and go question by question, see what they know and what they don't know. That's the purpose of the quiz, not to like give them a grade, but to say, hey, you know what, this is one area you need a little more help in. So they demonstrate their job. And I do not believe in live training. That is like so it's so hard. It's I don't have the patients don't have the patience to actually wait out front, especially now during a pandemic. They need to get in and get out. You train behind the scenes, and when you think they're ready, you get them to go and start working. I just hired a new doc, and she came in today just to spend some time with us, and she's starting the end of July. But she'll come July 20th, but for 2 weeks, she will not see a patient. She spends the first several days with our office manager, our practice administrator, learning how the open and close the office, all the systems that we have in place, the EMR, how to put charges in the system. Then she'll spend a couple days or even more so with the financial person and learn how to code. And then after that, she'll shadow me, and I'll sit down with her and go over the treatment protocols and what we expect. And then we'll fine tune. But we have a test in each area to make sure she knows, and they love it because they feel comfortable. When you answer the questions right, they feel comfortable. Amber, what's the best way to keep your staff doing the protocols consistently? Go ahead, Tina, on that.
Well, you need to have systems set up that for checking them. I'm a real checklist type of person. And I don't know if you're part of the Virtual Practice Management Institute, but we're going to be talking starting tomorrow, a 2-month module on productivity. And we're going to talk about how to keep people productive. But you have to have a system to check. I have a system at the end of the day. I mean, our staff members will tick off their main things that they're supposed to do. It's on their desk. So I know, and it's for them. They know. And if they didn't get to something, then they go, I didn't get to this because we were shorthanded today, or, I had to work the front desk by myself, whatever it is. But I have a system for making sure that things don't just, I'm hoping they're done. And that's part of running your practice simply, smartly, and successfully. It really revolves around how to set up those systems that you need to catch everything, because then you'll know, oh, wait a minute, that didn't get done. You'll be able to see when something isn't being done, because you know how to check to make sure things are being done. I don't know if that answers your question.
So Kristen says, what is the best way to train UMAs? We spend so much time training them, and then they leave after a few months. I think they get overwhelmed with how many different things we do in a day. Any advice? Is it better to hire for specific jobs versus training them to do everything? I'll take this first and I'll give it back to you.
Okay.
Okay. So, especially at front desk. MAs, if your MAs on this call, whatever, MAs are great. If we need MAs, financial people. I find that front desk can be overwhelming. There's so many things to do at one single time. And that's where the manager and the doctor needs to simplify the processes to make it doable. That being said, part of the hiring process, especially for that front desk, when we hire someone, we have them spend 3, even 4 hours up the front desk as part of their job interview. Just work with the front desk or just observe. I say observe, and I say it's for them to see if this is something they think they can do. I bring them in during the times when it's really busy, like late in the day between 5 and 7, when we're packed with new patients and what have you, and to see how everybody's handling everything. And I also see there's if that person's really interested in the job, if they're asking questions, if they're getting involved, if they're helping out, something that I want them to like ask if they can help out and do something. I don't always personally hire for experience. I think if it's too much experience, that could be a problem too. They're like, this is how we did it at that office for 30 years. And so it's not about just experience. Are they smart enough? At the front desk, I like to have them maybe have some insurance experience because that's the hard part and makes it easier. But either way, you can train them. You train them slowly, one thing at a time. Make sure they become an expert at this. Like we did ingrown toenails first in school. We got good at ingrown toenails, and then we did the hammer toes, and you gotta do the hammer toes before we even did the bunions, okay? And then before we did any kind of other procedures. So again, get your new hires and your people, get them to achieve success immediately. Give them something, a little task to do that, wow, look what I did. I feel good. Yeah, I'm all like confident. Now throw on another little thing. Get them confident. And really, it's patience. And we spend time with people I know this person's going to be good. Just stick with it. I know they don't learn fast, but the next thing you know is they're with me for 10, 12 years because you took that extra time and hired properly.
Okay, I'm going to add just a couple of things.
That's why I paused.
If you're talking back office MAs and becoming overwhelmed and leaving, I would then look at what exactly are they being asked to do? Okay, because doctors run their practices very different. Some doctors do more hands-on. Some doctors have their MAs do a lot of hands-on. And when you're hiring somebody, you should have that job description with those job tasks that in the first 30 days, you will learn how to do these 3 or 4 things. These are the protocols that go along with it. This is the time frame and your training, because it is overwhelming. And plus, depending on who's training them and the environment in the practice, that's pretty nerve-wracking. I remember when I was being shown how to load a syringe, and the doctor was watching me and my hands were shaking, and he was like, why are your hands shaking? And I said, because I'm afraid I'm going to do something wrong. I took it so seriously. And for him, he was like, really? Had no clue that I was that nervous. And so you have to realize that they are nervous. And is what you're asking them to do actually too much to do in a day? If you're having a constant flow of people checking out, there's something wrong. It could be multiple things. It could be how they're managed. It could be how they're trained, the environment of the back office. There's just so many things to look at. But if you've got a lot of turnover, that's something that there are certain areas to look at. And of course, we'd always be happy to talk to you, about those things, because that costs money. That costs the practice money every time somebody leaves and you have to rehire.
Absolutely. So what I want to say, you made me think of, sometimes we've been doing a task for so long, we didn't understand how we learned that task, that it took us a while to learn that specific task, and we take it for granted. And so don't assume anything. It's all about having the time. I used to be a very good trainer when I first started, and I'll tell you why. Because it was me and that one person waiting an hour for the next patient. So I had the time to train someone. But once it got busy, I didn't have the right time to do so. So you need someone designated. You're a trainer. You need to have, I have the trainer, and then we have trainers in each department, and they take that person aside and train that person. Do we have any questions, comments, what have you? Okay, again, you can contact Tina at toppractices.com, myself, Peter at toppractices.com. This is recorded, it'll go up again, and we'll send you the link for the mastermind. It's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. I'm in several masterminds, but I've been in top performers of Top Practices for years. I will tell you, I wrote a book. I'm on this thing with Tina. I learned something every day from you guys. And I don't have all the answers. So we don't want to stay here. We don't want to stay. This is what I know. I want to grow. I want to grow. I'm going to be 60. I don't care if I'm 60, 70, 80. If someone says this, I don't know who, Tina. I remember it's one of the people we follow. If you're not growing, you just might as well crawl up and die.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's how you live. You live by just growing in every aspect that you want, reading things or what have you. Just if you want to practice, you need to continue to grow. Okay.
All right.
Okay. I love you. We all love you. And thank you so much. It was a blast.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See you later. Stay safe.
Yes, please.